you been? I haven't talked to you since what? It's been a couple months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been because it has been. And I've been good. Got through the holidays, which is the craziest time for a salon, of course.
Yes.
We kind of eat, sleep, and drink it. And for me, I mean, I'm so far in that holidays, I mean, yes, they're busy, but it's kind of like that all the time, which I'm super thankful for. So
yeah, absolutely. So what inspired you to go into this industry?
I have known since I was 4 years old that I wanted to be a stylist. I used to like ride my bike around the neighborhood and pretend like I was going into work to open my salon, and had all the little things that I made into like a curling iron and what have you. And it was just something that I always wanted to do. And I knew that that's what I was going to do. But my parents wanted me to take the college path. And so I gave it a good try, and I was on my way, actually graduated early, and was on my way to college and met my husband and quickly became pregnant and kind of derailed my college experience, which I wasn't sad about. And here we are.
Now, what were your parents sad about it?
They didn't love me not getting a college education. And as a parent, I understand.
Yes.
I realized that there was 14 of us in my hair school class. I believe 2 of us still do hair. And it's just something sometimes that people do because they need something to do, not because it's something that they love and it's their passion. And so, I don't think they were super excited about, the pregnancy and having, not known my husband. I didn't really even know him very long. 26 years later, he's definitely the love of my life. And I'm super thankful that the Lord orchestrated it that way, because it's definitely was the plan. But yeah, my parents weren't super excited about it.
So when you went to college, were you going for hair, or were you going to go for a different degree?
No. I had graduated early from Glendale, and I was actually living on campus at MSU and was going to go, just go through college. And I actually wanted to be a marine biologist. That was kind of the other thing that I wanted to do other than hair. And so that's what I was going to do.
And so now, did you ever think about going back to school for a marine biologist, or
no?
What took you on this path?
I always knew I wanted to do it. And so when the pregnancy happened, my husband and I were like, all right, we're having a baby. And I mean, he wasn't my husband at the time. And so we stuck it out, and we actually moved to Dallas, where my dad and my siblings are, and had a baby. And I stayed home with her until she went to kindergarten. I actually nannied a couple of other people's children so that I could stay home with her. We had 1 car. We had nothing. We ate Hamburger Helper. We had a 13-inch TV, and we had the time of our lives. That's when we grew and really got to know each other and stronger bond. And I got to stay home with my oldest until she went to kindergarten. Actually, she went to K4. And that's when I was like, okay, it's time for me to go to hair school.
Okay. So now your second child, she was sick. Is that correct?
Yes. She was born in 2005, and she had a lack of oxygen at birth, and it was a rough pregnancy. I was actually I was in hair school and found out I was pregnant with her. We've been trying for 3 years. And of course, it, happened right when I started hair school.
Sure.
And I found out I was pregnant with her. And of course we were delighted. And I got super sick. I had preeclampsia the first time, and I started to develop it the second time. And so my doctor actually put me on bed rest in the hospital at 20 weeks. And so I was allowed to pause my school. They normally don't let you do that. I was allowed to pause my schooling, and I did not return until she was 6 months old, because she was in the NICU afterwards and had a hard time eating and was failure to thrive. And it was kind of a long, bad deal. And so, I had to return when she was 6 months old. So
didn't you say that your professor saw something in you and he let you come back, and he usually doesn't do that?
The owner of the hair school, Missouri College of Cosmetology, his name is Jeff Stanley, and he will forever stand out in my life as somebody who, he truly believed in me. And I went to school, I showed up, I put my best foot forward. I wanted to be there. I was 24 years old. I wasn't 18. It wasn't something that I just was doing because I had to. I truly wanted to be there. And I have had a couple situations that taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can
so
you
now,
can you give an example of one of the situations?
yeah, I think that sometimes, everybody wants to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everybody wants to be a salon owner, and everybody thinks that they know how and it's going to be great. And it is great, but it's also really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain type of personality that is going to promote themselves, never meet a stranger, talk to people about, all things hair. I mean, I get off of work and I watch hair videos all night. Like it's in my blood. It's what I do. And not everyone's that way. And that's okay.
Sure.
But I think they need to just go in and like do the clients that people feed them and pay their commission and go home. And that's okay too. Like that's why there's different models,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think that it's not for everyone. And I think also, work ethic is huge. And you don't really know that about somebody unless you really know them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how hard do you want to work?
Mm-hmm.
There's this new thing, this new model going through that I'm trying to like kind of abide by, even though I'm really bad at it, about, not living to work, or I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Right.
Because I love my work. And so if I have the opportunity to go in and do more, I just do.
Yeah.
And it's not always best,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just how I've always been.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to kind of unlearn some of that for myself.
Yeah. And I think you're right. If you love what you do, it's not work.
Yeah, but my body doesn't feel that way.
You're exactly right.
My body, my wrist and my arm and my back and my knees, it feels like it is work.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, you said that you have an autoimmune disease. Does that hinder?
Yeah, I actually have a couple. I have had problems since I gave birth to my first child. And they found out, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago that it was actually, one of them was Hashimoto's, thyroiditis. And that was a real roller coaster. That disease in particular throws you from hyperthyroid to hypothyroid between a matter of days. And it is a wild ride. And there for a while, like I still have some days, they're very few and far between now. I feel like everything's more controlled with medication, but I had to cancel people and reschedule them, and it would upset people. And I had to learn that I'm just a person. And I always give more than I probably even could. But sometimes you're sick, and sometimes you have to stay home and take care of yourself. And sometimes people are going to be upset about that, and you have to be okay about them being upset about it. I have not mastered that skill, but I'm working on it.
Yes. Well,
so
good.
yeah, I have Hashimoto's, and then I actually have a couple of other things going on right now where we're trying to kind of figure out what's going on.
What is Hashimoto's? I'm not familiar with that.
It's a disease. It's an autoimmune disease of the thyroid, and basically your body makes antibodies that attacks your thyroid, and it just slowly but surely kills it off.
Oh gosh.
So while that's happening, you feel bad, really, really bad sometimes, and you feel just kind of okay sometimes. And you get labs every so often, and they're all over the place. There's literally hardly no way to control it. We found a way with some medication, but medication has side effects, and but for the most part, I feel like I've gotten used to it.
What were your symptoms at the beginning?
The amount of exhaustion is something that I've never experienced in my life. I'm not a super tired person. I don't require a ton of sleep. I really like to move, and I am pretty type A, and I literally would get up and take my kids to school and go back to bed until noon. And I lost all my hair. On my Instagram page, there's actually a couple of pictures of my hair when it had completely come out, and I had to use one of the products that I now stand behind to grow it back. And that is the thing that I still deal with. Like, I'll have a massive fallout and I'll just go bald. And
is that right? Wow.
That's really not great. But the number one thing is pain, joint pain. That is absolutely, it's excruciating, and it's hard to work through that and like put a smile on your face, but it's doable.
Yeah.
I also really got into and enjoyed powerlifting for several years, and I have had to let that go. That's not something that my body can do anymore. So, it is what it is. I don't love that. I don't love doing things that aren't like major. So I love going for a walk. It doesn't feel, what major enough or whatever, but I'm getting used to that too. So
how do you deal with that and not get depressed?
oh, I went through a major season of depression.
Mm-hmm.
I actually about 5 years ago got some test results back saying that I was positive for scleroderma, which is a fatal autoimmune condition that basically hardens your body from the inside out or sometimes the outside in. Mine was actually the systemic one, which is the worst one. And I go through periods now where there are things happening in my body where I probably need to, my doctor wants me to go have ultrasounds and testing and things. And sometimes I can deal with that and I go through and I do more of them and I try to get to the bottom of it. And sometimes I can't. And I need to just come to work and my life needs to be normal. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot of treatment for that. And so I'm kind of like, I'm going to do everything I can do while I can do it and be happy about it.
And that's just a choice that you're making, huh?
It's absolutely a choice. And some days I call my mom and I cry because I feel so terrible. But most of the time I can kind of mind over matter and I do the things that make me happy.
Yeah. That's great. That's good advice. Now you mentioned a product that helped your hair grow back. You want to mention that? You want to give that a shout out?
The company that I just love. I have done so much research around this and I think I've used everything under the sun internally and externally. And it's a botanical product. It doesn't have minoxidil in it. I've had some clients that went through chemo that we used cold capping and Synogen and they did not lose their hair. And so I've taken it up to the cancer center, to a doctor that I work with up there. He's okayed it as far as it's not going to interact with anything that they're on. And I just believe in it because it works.
And what's it called?
Synogen. They have two lines. One's called Revolve and one's called Evolve. The Revolve is for thinning hair that's going to grow back in, that you want to grow back in. And the Evolve is for dry, brittle hair that won't grow longer. And so it will actually grow your hair longer. And it really does work.
Yeah. And could anybody with thinning hair can use this or does it? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. No, there's no, it's not going to hurt people with high blood pressure like Rogaine. And there's no contraindications with it.
Wow. That's great. And you currently keep this in stock?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to plug. Where can they pick this up? Where are you located, Miss Candace?
Bliss Salon and Spa Suites. We are located at 600 West Republic Road, Suite B104. We're right in the middle of the construction mess on Republic Road in Campbell, so that's fun. If you head west on Republic Road from Campbell, there's a Great Southern Bank on your left-hand side. It's been there for 100 years. We are behind the Great Southern Bank, so if you miss the turn-in, you'll have to turn around and come back.
And you said that your daughter works with you, right?
She does. Yeah. My daughter, Sydney, she is absolutely mini me. She's a complete repeat and she's a phenomenal stylist and she's building her books right now, which is so exciting for me to watch because she's really getting her confidence going and she's really kind of focusing on extensions and she's really good at them. And she's getting ready to get her second certification and then a third one in March. And she's just blossoming and she's becoming her own stylist and everybody's happy with their work and I love it.
And now, and you said she is growing her book. So she is taking new clients?
She is growing her book. She is taking new clients. We don't do online booking. We're kind of old fashioned. I like to have a personal relationship. I like to have a conversation about your goals and what you're trying to achieve and where you're at now. That way there's no surprises. And one thing I don't like is people running behind. And so we don't do that. And so we like to have everything very structured in time to where people aren't going in and picking their own appointments and putting themselves in the wrong spot. And then we've got somebody sitting up front for an hour. It makes them upset. It makes us nervous. It's just not great.
Yeah. Now, do you have any chairs open if somebody wanted to rent one?
I don't have any chairs open. I do have some dreams in the future of maybe having some more open chairs in a different location, if that's something that I can ever put together. I do have a waiting list, which is how I call people. So like when I had somebody leave and open her own salon last year, I was able to contact the next person on the list and then she took the suite. And so she's here now. She's actually off with her baby, but we can't wait for her to get back.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, they can contact me on my Instagram, my personal Instagram or the Bliss page. And I will be happy to or just stop by. If you want to stop by and look around and see if it's your vibe and get on the waiting list, that's great.
Awesome. That's great. And then if someone just wanted to cut their bangs, you know, like if, I don't know, maybe they lost their job or whatever situation, do you have any tips that they can cut their bangs themselves?
Yeah, don't. No, I'm just kidding.
I figured you were going to say
I'm one
that.
of those stylists that doesn't get super upset when my clients trim on their hair. It's just that the bangs can get a little bit like you keep going and then you've got a big mess. Don't cut straight. Cut like this. That would be my tip.
So like the scissors up like
that?
that?
Don't cut like this because then you're doing this game. Cut,
Okay.
If you have to do it.
If you have to do it, yes. I knew if I was going to ask that question, I knew what you were going to say. No, just don't do it. Just don't do it. I can imagine with COVID and how everybody was trying to cut their own hair and dye their own hair. And then they came in and were like, help me.
Yep. That happened. COVID was a good time.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple minutes left. And so at the end of every podcast, I always ask my guests to give words of wisdom. And so what would be your words of wisdom for our listeners?
My words of wisdom would be, if you have something that's burning in your heart and soul, there's a reason why it's there. And I think you should check it out, follow it. I mean, obviously people have to make money and pay their bills and all of that, but there is a way. If you feel that, it's conviction from the Lord, and it's probably something that you're meant to do. And I think it's important that you check it out and do what you can to get yourself, to where you can at least try it, to where you know, because man, I can't imagine what I would be doing. I literally don't even know what else I would do.
Yeah.
So I think if you feel that, that it's a nagging, it's a burning in your heart. It's a thing where it's conviction, but it's a thing where you know that you're supposed to be doing something. And I think you should do it. If you can, you should do it. Even if it's like you have to do a job, but you also do that too until it becomes something, go after it and do it. And always stay true to what you know is right. Because there's so many ways to do things now. I've been in this business a long time, and I've been criticized and chastised about, what I do and how I do it, and online booking and whatever. What I do works for me and it works for my clients, and I have been able to surpass goals that most stylists don't in the way that I'm doing it without changing it for everybody else.
That's awesome. And Julie says, yes, burning in your heart and soul conviction. And excellent. I get it. So that resonated with a lot of our listeners right now. So thank you for that words of wisdom.
Absolutely.
Is there any plug or anything that you want to, final words before we?
Final words is Bliss Salon and Spa Suites is a great place to be. There are people here that are doing things that are taking business. We have a massage therapist that's incredible. She's been with us for 15 years. We have a nail tech that's incredible. She takes selective new clients because she's really busy. Our lash artist is bar none the best in Springfield. We have an extension artist and colorist that is new to us that I absolutely adore. She did my hair last time. She is probably taking some new clients when she gets back with her baby. We do everything.
Okay.
We have a lady that focuses on, that does things that like nobody else knows how to do. I do things that people don't do. We kind of have like a specialist that does everything. But we have a nurse injector as well, and she's phenomenal. I know there are a lot of them, but she's wonderful, and she is.
Now, when you say nurse injector, what's that mean?
She does Botox and filler and all kinds of injectables.
Okay.
The women that are here in my space, they have something that some people don't have. They have a servant's heart, and they have the heart and soul is just, and that's what makes it work. So I could brag on my girls all day long.
That's awesome. And Ramona said, God has really blessed you. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. There is no way. I'm just going to tell you, you can sit down and make a budget and none of this makes sense. If it wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, and it hadn't been literally from the time that I had Sydney blessed and ordained by him, then it wouldn't be happening.
That's awesome.